Okay guys, so you have seen in which I have explained the shared preferences, how we can save the data about the current state of that activity. So today we'll these two examples. One is this one. I will show you that how we can save that kind of information inside our shared preferences, and we can restore that particular specific state whenever we are turning from changing our mode from portrait mode to landscape mode. So what is happening right now, let me show you. So we have this particular specific, if I just click on the Blastoise or beard or abok, so you can see that the things are changing. For example, at this particular point, mistakenly or by intentionally, if I change that thing here, you can imagine that the image is going into the default, which is the, if we look at that particular specific image view here, it is showing me that particular specific, where is that, Charizard. So it's go to that default situation, showing the Charizard image. On the other hand, the Bulbasaur is selected. So you can imagine that this particular specific, even now if I just change to the different image and then again turn it back, again it will, that image is going into that particular default image which we have mentioned in our user interface UI design. And this is not what you can say that the right state of the activity which it should be. So what happened when we turn from the portrait mode to the landscape mode or landscape mode to the portrait mode, it actually create that particular activity from the scratch. And I can show you, like I need to implement those events. Okay, so we can say that we are in that particular specific, let me put that particular log.d, and I'm giving, like here we can say that pref log, and then we can say that we are, or maybe I can just put that the method name on create method. So I'm just trying to put that particular specific inside the on create method. I also want to override and you say control O, we can override the on start, on stop, we want to on stop, on destroy. Okay, I don't want to, maybe I can select, yep, on destroy, on stop. We also have on create, which is already done. So we have on resume, on restart. Where are those methods? Okay, let me implement these things. Okay, and then maybe I can just simply say that on restart. So we have start, restart, stop, and resume. On resume. So what I am going to do, I'm just going to do copy these things and just paste these things here. We are in the on restart. Again we are in the on start method. Here we are inside the I just want to show you that when you are turning, actually it will call this particular on destroy method on the current activity, and then it will again restart that particular specific activity from the scratch, starting from the on create method. So it is recreated when we are turning from the portrait mode to the landscape mode, and when it is recreated, it is go into the default option. And in that situation we need to restore, we need to keep that particular specific state of that particular specific activity, current state. So this is stop method. On resume method, and then we are on the on destroy method. So if I just try to run it again, you will see that it will show me that particular specific thing, and here I don't want to see, I want to see the debug, and then I can only see the pref underscore log. So you can imagine it has called these methods. What are those? On create, on start, and on resume. And now this particular specific activity is running. So when I just change that particular specific thing and then turn it around, look, after on stop and on destroy method has been called. It means the portrait mode activity has been destroyed, finished from the RAM, and now it is going to start or create, on start, and on resume. And now this particular specific activity is running inside the portrait mode. And if we look at that, this is not in that state which we have left inside our portrait mode, and that is the problem. When we are shifting, maybe accidentally or maybe intentionally, we change that particular specific portrait mode into the landscape mode or landscape to the portrait mode, but we need to keep that particular current state. The state of that activity we need to save somewhere, and then we can restore. You understand? Is it clear? So, how we can do that? We have talked about that shared preferences. We have two types of preferences. One is the shared and one is the private. Private mean that particular shared preferences is only available within that specific activity. If we're talking about the main activity, it is only available inside the main activity. If we're talking about the second activity, it is only available in that activity. And the other one, which is named one, which we are providing the name, we are creating a shared preference. That is a Java object, but actually it is related, it is connected with an XML file inside our what you can say, the data for that particular specific application. In the background, there is an XML file which is maintained by the Android system itself, Android architecture or Android framework operating system, for that particular activity, for that particular specific application, maintained by the Android system, a specific file. And automatically we are trying to connect that shared preferences object we are using to access that file. In the background, there's a file, but for us, it is a shared preference object with which we are interacting. So how we can save that particular specific thing? Now the point is, we have that situation when we click on some specific, what you can say that, on that specific radio button we are clicking, some specific radio button has been selected. Accordingly, it is showing me the specific image. How we can imagine that particular state, and then we save that state in the shared preferences, and whenever we are recreating it, we again get it back. Can you imagine how we can save that state? Guys, I'm asking a question. How we can save that state?
Yeah, to save preferences object.
Sorry?
Pause state. You can pause that state.
Pause state? What is the pause state?
Save instance.
Look, this is our activity.
Using
You are saying something?
create a save preferences object.
Create a shared preference object, but the point is, first we need to identify that how we are going to save that current state of that, which specific what you can say that, actually what we need to remember that which specific radio button has been selected or checked. That we need to understand, that we need to save. That is a state.
Using the saved instance state keyword, that saved instance state.
Save instant state.
Yeah, that keyword, you use that to resume the when it goes to landscape mode.
Which save instant state.
Saved instance state, like passing an argument.
Passing an argument.
Yeah, like to the on resume saved instance state, you just pass an argument to the protected void.
You are talking about this one, saved instance state.
Yeah.
That's a bundle.
No, that's the state now. So already it's saved. It's resuming from the.
It's only taking from that. So how we can resume that? We can change that particular specific. You are saying that inside that particular save instance state, that particular radio button is checked.
Yeah.
So how we can like find out that thing and then restore the image which is relevant to that saved state.
When running the on resume method, you pass that argument bundle on and saved instance state.
What is an on resume?
The protected void on
Here?
resume. Yeah, that one. Yeah.
This is an overridden method. It is a method which is already there. This is a lifecycle method. We are overriding. It does not have any argument inside it.
You can pass an argument bundle saved instance state in that.
We can pass an argument here.
It's allowed. It's allowed.
We can save that particular specific saved bundle state,
Yeah, you can.
and then we can restore.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Point is how. What we should do in that resume, or maybe we can say instead of having the resume, we can, because we are creating it, on create method is being called, so using that state we can do the things here inside this on create method, because we need to change that default image which is already there inside image view. What we should do, how we can find out which specific radio button is checked.
Call the radio button click event from inside the onCreate.
Click event button. Again, we are starting that particular specific activity from zero, from the beginning, and again we don't have any kind of information other than we have saved somewhere and then retrieve it back. So what we should do, where we should save that information and when we should recall, and what we should do changes here in this particular specific Java file so that we can save that information. Any ideas how we can save, how we can like save that state? Which specific radio button has been checked? To be simple and naive, can we define the Boolean variables here which matching the name of those radio buttons? Can we? We say Boolean, we have, what are the names? I can just like, okay, Abok, I think we have their names here somewhere, maybe I can define them here. Okay, let me, here I can easily read their names and then define those variable names. For example, we can say that Boolean, we say that Abok RB, and then we have bdrill RB, we have blastoise RB. This all these are the radio buttons, and then what is that? Bulbasaur RB. What else? Butterfree RB. Charizard RB. So we define these. How many are? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, yeah? Now we need to keep that particular specific state. Okay, what we need to do? On every click event, we need to change that particular specific thing. Maybe we can put something like this. When we are changing it, is the rbook, rbook rb is equal to true. Otherwise, all others are and then we have blastoise false, bulbasaur false, butterfree false. I mean, this is, maybe you can say this is not an efficient way to do the things, but the simplest thing that can be done. Okay, and then we have Charizard false. The same thing we have to do in all of them. Only one is true. So here it will become false, and then the B drill will become true. And again we can do the same thing here, and then this one become false, and the blastoise become true. Same thing here, we are in the Bulbasaur false, and this will become true. Same thing will become here false, and then we have Butterfree, yeah, that will become true. And the same thing that we are going to do here, this will become false, and then this will become true. So we have in these 6 Boolean variables, we have that particular specific state of that particular specific activity. Yes or no? So if we can save these inside our preferences, where we need to do? On destroy, on resume, on stop, on state, what?
On resume.
On resume. We are saving the state inside our shared preferences object. Where we should do that? When we need to restore the state of the activity.
Restart.
When we are creating it from the scratch,
Start.
it means it has been destroyed. Otherwise, if we are just okay, let me quickly make one thing here, create our new activity here, and I will show you. Okay, so maybe a new activity quickly, so that basic activity, full activity, where is the empty activity? This one, main activity, just finish it. We have that particular specific activity, and inside that particular where is the click event? Where is that one? Yeah, here it is. Okay, so here I am just trying to create an intent. Intent is equal to new intent this, and then we have a main activity 2 dot class, and then we can say that start activity, and we pass this particular specific intent. On that click event, we are starting that one. So let me for example, we are the Bulbasaur. I click on that event, we go to the next activity. When we come back here, we are in the same activity. State is maintained when we come back. So when we need to save that particular state and when we need to restore it? When we are completely finishing that particular activity out of the RAM, out of the memory, when we are destroying it, we need to save the state, and when we are creating it again, we need to restore it. Is it fine? Is it okay? And the other thing, Okay. So on destroy method, we are going to save it. That's one thing is sure, that we are not going to do it on the, what's happening? Okay, maybe I have changed that, we have removed that. Actually I want to take it from below to the top, so that's why I want to put it here. Fine, we have those variables in the destroy method. Here it is. I want to save that state. What we should do? Shared preferences object, remember? So shared preferences is equal to what?
New shared preferences.
New shared preferences? Huh? We need to look into that slides as well, huh? What is that? So we have a get shared preferences, not new. Okay, so we need to come down here and then say that get shared preferences. Again, we need to provide two parameters here. One is the name. What we should say that? Image preferences, and then we need to provide the, what we need to provide? We need to provide a mode. And look at that, these lines, they are showing that these are the deprecated modes. Deprecated mean which has been used in the past, but now they are not recommended to be used. They are still there because we need to backward compatibility, but we are not going to use them. They are not recommended to be. We can use, but not recommended. So here we have that append mode, mode enable right ahead, but here we are stick to that particular private mode. Okay, so we create that particular shared preferences. And what we need, what next we need? Who can remember that video? What we want to do? What boolean?
Another parameter.
Which parameter?
The name and mode and
We don't have any other parameter. We have the name and the mode. That's it. To create that particular specific shared preferences. What happen if this particular image preferences, because when the first time we are running these lines, it is not there. It will be created. And if it is there, it will be opened. Okay, so it's the second thing, because we want to write the information inside, we need an editor. And what is that editor? SharedPreferences.Editor. We create an editor is equal to, and now we are going to ask this preferences object to return me the editor. So this particular method is going to return me that particular specific editor, and using that particular editor we can save the information inside our shared preferences. And what is that? How? Just like we put the intent.put extra, so we can put the same thing here. We can say that editor dot put boolean. Again we provide the name and then we provide the value, and those names should be, for example, again we need those names here. What are those names? Arbok. Maybe we can save the constant values. You know, remember that we can keep those values. Final string, and then we say that arbok rb is equal to . The same thing we are going to do for the other one as well. Bead or BRB. I'm just trying to simplify the things, okay? BRB, and then we can simply say that blast RB, and then here we can say that BULB bulb, okay, and then we have butter. I'm just trying to, instead of writing those complete name, I'm just trying to simplify the things. We have cherry. So we have 6 names here. So we can use those here instead of, the first one is, what is that? Arbok RB, and then we say Arbok RB value. Whatever that value is, we are just putting it here. And we are going to use the same thing. Arbok, and then we have B drill, BRB, and then we have Bulbasaur. I'm just trying to, whatever that remember is coming up. Maybe the name is, or order is not right. B drill, Bulbasaur, butter free. The same thing is here, butter free, and then what is that? Blastoise, blast. Okay, we have last one, that is Charizard RB, Charizard RB. So we are putting all those at the end. What we did, editor dot commit. So when we are done with that, we have saved those information inside our shared preference. Fine. Is it clear or not clear? Am I right or not? Okay. Now here in the onCreate method, we need to read those informations back. Maybe I can create another other, what you can say, that void read preferences here. Now we need to have shared preferences. Preferences is equal to get shared preferences, and again look at that, we need to have use the same name that we have used here. Where is that one? Yep. So maybe we want to save that particular name inside our constant value, just like here. Final string pref name and then here, instead of having that particular specific, we say that pref name. The same thing we can use here. Pref name and then mode underscore private. Fine. Now what happened when you are creating that particular, now we need to understand that what is a flow. When you are running that particular application for the first time, there does not exist that particular specific preferences. There is no data that we have saved in that particular specific preferences. Yes or no? That preference does not exist. It means we are creating for the first time. And here inside this one, I'm just going to say that read preferences. I'm calling this particular method here inside our onCreate. When this particular specific application is running for the first time, that preference does not exist. What will happen? It will create a new one, and then later on we are trying to read What we are trying to read? We are saying that we have rbook is equal to what? Preferences dot get boolean, and then we need to rbook, and what is the default value? I say false, because we don't want to make anything true unless and until it is coming from that particular shared preferences. So the same thing we are going to do for the other 5 variables. So what are those? Blastoise, this is rbook b. Okay, maybe we can put that thing here, and then here we say that b drill, Blastoise is done. Then Bulbasaur, and the same thing we will come here, and then we have Butterfree, and then the last one is the Charizard. So all 6. Now when we are reading for the first time, what will happen? All these will be false. Yes or no? Am I right? Because there does not exist that preferences for the first time. We have not saved any information inside it, so it will all become the default values, that is false. So this is something that we can imagine, that this is our starting of this activity, this particular specific application. There is no information has been stored before. So what we will do in that specific situation? What we will do? What we will do? Here I create another method. We initialize that particular specific thing, and we say that void set image. We have that particular Pokemon image. We need to set the image, appropriate image, according to the information that we have read from here. What we need to do?
Spell image wrong.
Sorry?
Spell image wrong.
Okay, spelling image wrong. Okay. What we need to do? Don't correct my spelling, please. We need to understand. We need to build that flow. What we need to do to put the right image on that particular specific image.
On resume.
Again, on resume. On resume. What is on resume, man? First, we need to do these information. What image should be there?
Which one is true? Then we need to read that in the
Which one is true? We need to restore. So we say that if our book is true, what we need to do? Pokemon image dot set image source r dot drawable dot r book. Yeah. Else part. Else if it is what you can say that if it is B drill, then we are going to put the B drill here. Yeah. In the else part, maybe I can just copy paste these things. Here B drill, and then we have Blastoise, and then here again we change the Blastoise. If we have this thing like Bulbasaur, we change it to the Bulbasaur. If it is Butterfree, then it is Butterfree. So we have already done, and then we have Charizard. Any one of is true, accordingly the image will change. And then what we need to do, we need to, after the here we say set image. We read the preferences and then we set the image according to those information that we have read, because we set those Boolean variables true or false. Only one will be true at one time, so whatever that is true, it is going to set that image. Can we run it now? It should be working. Any confusions, any doubts? Clear? So let's see. So because when we are running for the first time, our Charizard picture is there, no problem at all. The reason is that at the beginning they are all false, they are not setting anything. It means the default picture will remain there. That is the initial state of our application. And then we say Blastoise, Beryl, maybe Arbok, and then we turn it here. So in this way, we are maintaining the specific state of our activity. And what happened in that particular specific situation when we are moving from the portrait mode to the landscape mode. This particular specific activity which was in the portrait mode, it has been destroyed completely, removed from our memory, clearly out of the memory, finished. And then we recreate that particular specific activity from the scratch, from the beginning, and you can see those method names which are in the logcat as a coming. On destroy, on resume, and now on create, on start, and on resume, because we have put those information in our log, debugging log. Now come to our second point. In my portrait mode, that is fine. We can see the picture, we can see those radio buttons. But when I go into that particular specific landscape mode, we have a lot of empty space here, and then all of my information go down. How we can solve that particular specific problem? Let me come back here, or maybe I can just try to change a little bit play here, so that you can see that if I am going into a different one, it is still maintaining that particular specific, yeah, like this. So you can see still maintaining that particular state of the activity. But that when we go from portrait mode to the landscape mode, I would say that I'm wasting a lot of space. Maybe I can change a different layout for the portrait mode. And fortunately, we have that particular specific way to solve that particular specific situation. And what is that? If we go into our main activity, go into that particular specific design view, click on that specific button, and then you say that create a landscape variation. When you click on that, we are saying that when we are in the portrait mode, use this particular specific layout file to create the layout of that particular specific activity. In the landscape mode, use a different layout file to create the user interface for that activity. Same activity, but for one layout for the portrait mode and the second layout for the landscape mode. So let me click on that. When we click on that, if we go into our layout folders, look, now we don't have one activity, main activity underscore main.xml. Instead we have a folder, and inside that particular folder we have two. One is the same. Right now the other one is also same. This particular specific layout. This one, look at that. This is the layout underscore activity, and this one is the land underscore activity. So it means this is the landscape mode. Even look at that, it is showing me in the landscape mode. and we can change it. How we can do that? Let me do quickly. What I want, I want that these particular specific image and the button maybe remain same over there, but this image go to the right, and these what you can say that radio buttons go on the left side, or maybe image on the right side, or the left side, or the radio button go on the right side, whatever, but we want to use that particular specific empty space.
Create more linear layout and orientation.
Of course we need to change that layout, so that's of course we need to do. How we can do that? We can keep that particular button over there, and then this image and the radio button group, I control X, and this is, remember that we are inside our constraint layout, so we say I just try to create a linear layout. I say width is match parent, and wrap content, maybe here I can say, okay, we will see that, and then we can simply do that. Orientation, do we need to change? We don't need to change. Maybe I can put that over these things here. Okay, so we have that image and the radio buttons. Maybe I can put some margins here. I don't need these constraints for our, because we are not in the constraint layout, this automatically go to the right side. So maybe I can put a margin on the left side, 20 dp, so you can see that. The other thing is we need to fix that layout, linear layout. Why it is showing me that something? We need to put some constraints over here. The reason is that we want that particular specific linear layout below this button, so we can put that particular specific. I think we have that one. We can just copy these constraints here and then put those constraints inside our linear layout. So now you can see that it is coming below that particular specific button. And maybe we can say that we want to make it what you can say that gravity, so that it gravity center. Fine. So now we have created a variation for the landscape mode, a second layout that will be used to create the user interface inside the landscape mode. Simple. Bulbasaur, convert into the landscape mode and look at that. I mean, now all the informations are still inside our image, inside our view, not going down and we need to scroll up and down. So we are using a different layout for the landscape mode. Is it clear? So let me stop my video for that first part, first example that we have time, and then if you have some question, then we can talk about it.